Welcome back to Fantasy Football by Committee, powered by Flurry Sports. It can be tough to win a fantasy league on your own, but at FFBC, we will work together to bring home the hardware. Hosted by Zach Bruner and the rest of the Flurry Sports crew, we will give top-level analysis, answer your questions, and, well, go off on other tangents.
That was after I tried to get ChatGPT to admit that 9/11 was an inside job, but it stood firm. It gave quite a few solid points that it was true.
Welcome to Fantasy Football by Committee. The show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let's talk about 7 players you can sell high on right now for fantasy football. Let's start with an obvious one. We'll start with a couple obvious. Maybe we'll get a little controversial. Obvious one, Puka Nacua, right? We thought his value was at an all-time high after, I believe it was that week 2 game, right? We're like, okay, you don't want to trade him when he has 1 game left before Cooper Kupp. You want to do it with 2 so you can sell that 3rd game there, right? You want to sell that week 3 game included in the value. That's when his value was at an all-time high. I do believe we were correct with that. But now, Cooper Kupp might not play this week. He's eligible to come off IR, but he may not play, and that gives the Puka Nacua believers the hype train of Puka Nacua more life, more air, more reason to believe. So if they are not a Puka Nacua owner, but they want to be, this gives them optimism to trade for him. This gives them a reason like, oh, Cooper Kupp's not going to come back healthy. I knew it. I said it. They're going to do all that stuff. Feed into that hype. Trade him away. He's been wide receiver 4 so far this season. I get it. However, Cooper Kupp's going to come back at some point, and Puka's probably going to have a 5 to 8 target roll, 5 to 7 target roll every week, which isn't terrible, right? That's still fantasy relevant, but he's not going to be wide receiver 4, and I think you can sell him at pretty good value right now. I like him quite a bit. Also, like on top of Cooper Kupp coming back, like Matthew Stafford's already hurt. It's week 5 and he's hurt. He's going to play hurt, and he's going to be playing a little too long. He's going to get hurt worse, and then he's going to play a game and he's going to look terrible. And then he's going to play another game and he's going to look terrible because he's hurt and shouldn't be playing. And then he's going to get hit, or they're going to lose too many games, and then they'll sit him down. So you don't necessarily want to be starting Puka through that stretch either. So I think there's a ton of reasons to sell him right now, the biggest of which being that Cooper Kupp injury update. Just because Kupp may not come back for week 5, that doesn't mean he's not back for week 6 or 7, right? So that's why I'm doing that trade. Another one. Another wide receiver, Christian Watson, maybe a little bit controversial. I've seen a lot of people talk him up as a buy low candidate. Again, Packers Insider, hi, let me talk to you about Christian Watson. Christian Watson's not the most talented receiver on the Packers roster. He's not the most skilled wide receiver. That's Romeo Doubs. We've said that for a long time. I've said that for a long time. It's true. Christian Watson has the God-given abilities of speed and size, athleticism. When he's not 100% healthy, I mean, he's a Lamborghini, right? Like, he needs to be fully ready. The conditions need to be perfect for him to go to be great. So if he gets another little hamstring tweak, he's going to be out again. But on top of that, Romeo Doubs is more skilled. They can use Romeo Doubs in more ways. He also has the rapport with Jordan Love, yada, yada, yada. Christian Watson came back last week on a snap count, and he scored a touchdown. So many people are freaking out about that touchdown. They're thinking about that long stretch last season where he kept getting touchdown. And people fed into that hype last year. He comes back, scores a touchdown, and people are feeding into the hype again. If you have somebody in your league feeding into that hype and thinks he's going to be a wide receiver 1, even a wide receiver 2 consistently, trade his ass. There's going to be long stretches this year where Christian Watson fully disappears because that's the type of player he is. If he sees top coverage, if he sees any safety rolling over the top, like, he's just not going to be overly valuable if he doesn't score a touchdown. So if there's people really riding that hype train off last week's touchdown, trade Christian Watson. Let's talk about another player who just came back last week and we are going to trade them off of that big performance. Talking Alvin Kamara. I understand. If you're an Alvin Kamara owner, you had to wait 3 weeks of suspensions. You had to wait out 3 weeks, and then you finally got to play him last week, and he was great. He was great because he had, 13 receptions? Yeah, he had 13 catches, and he was still running back 9 in PPR. And that's because he didn't score a touchdown. Let me tell you, he's not going to score touchdowns this year. I said it a little bit ago in the show. If you set Alvin Kamara's touchdowns at 5.5 rest of the season, I'll take the under. If you set it at 4.5, I might take the under. He's just not great in the red zone. Like, he's not a strong runner. He's not a good short yardage runner. He's not a good red zone runner. We already knew that, and the Saints knew that. That's why they traded for signed Jamal Williams in the offseason, most rushing touchdowns last year. So when everyone's healthy, 1, Jamal Williams, probably best red zone rusher. 2, Taysom Hill, next best red zone rusher. Then Alvin Kamara is the 3rd best red zone rusher. But is he the 3rd best red zone weapon on the Saints? No. They also got Juwan Johnson. That's where he thrives. They got a package solely for Jimmy Graham down there. Jimmy Graham is only on the team to play red zone. So he's going to be a receiving target down there. So Alvin Kamara may be the 3rd or 4th or 5th option in the red zone. He's just not going to score touchdowns. He's not going to catch 13 catches per game, 13 receptions per game. So he's a flex. Like, truth be told, I think Alvin Kamara is a flex rest of season. That's not terrible, right? Like, it's a guy that who just came back. All of a sudden, he's a solid flex for you in PPR scoring. Sure. But I think you can sell Alvin Kamara at RB2 value. And if you can sell him at RB2 value, then do it. Because like I said, he's a flex. He's running back 30 rest of year, something like that. So trade away Alvin Kamara. Not a must sell for any of these people I'm talking about. Almost none of them are must sells. None of them I've said so far are must sells, but they are sell high. Now, I have one more, and then we'll get into the must sells maybe. This is someone I said is a sell high candidate when I talked about him in the preseason in training camp before we even seen him on the field. I said this guy is going to be my favorite sell high candidate of the year. Everything I said, everything predicted has come to fruition. The stars are aligning, and I'm telling you, this guy is a sell high candidate. It's not an easy sell high candidate because I'm talking about Sam LaPorta. Now, Sam LaPorta is great. I am not downgrading his value. I'm not downgrading his role or his talent. Sam LaPorta is a great player. He's going to be a great player in the NFL for a long time. However, at a position of scarcity in the sad, sad world that is fantasy football tight ends, you have someone who's valuable, someone who's playing pretty well right now. And when I say pretty well, I'm saying he's tight end 2 for the season. Tight end 2. He's never going to be tight end 2 again, except for this moment right now. We're going to see Mark Andrews, Travis Kelce, people like that coming alive, right? So Sam LaPorta, tight end 2, you can sell that. You can sell that. On top of that, the rookie wall is a real thing, especially for a tight end who's playing 2 positions, essentially. He played very physical football in Iowa. A lot of run blocking, a lot of passing. He saw all of the targets at Iowa, essentially. They had no offense except for him. Took a lot of hits. Immediately following their lackluster season, because they're Iowa, then he has to train for the draft. So he goes through the draft process, training for the draft. That's exhausting. Then he signs with the Lions. Immediately gets put into a big role for the Lions, playing physical Lions football, blocking, getting hit all the time, a lot of stuff. That rookie wall is going to hit eventually. It catches up to everybody. It's going to hit him. He's played a lot of really good but really physical football over the past calendar year with really no break, and I think he's going to hit the wall. Do I think the wall's going to hit this week? No. That's why I like selling him right now. I think he has good football ahead of him, and you can sell that. And he's tight end 2, but after a month, maybe even 2 months, that rookie wall is going to hit. Also, the end of their season, the last month, maybe month and a half of their season, not the easiest for tight ends. So I do think Sam LaPorta is a sell high, not a must sell. Again, he's not a must sell, but I do think you can sell high on Sam LaPorta's value right now, especially because there's a lot of teams out there who have tight ends that are terrible. They're just trying to find anything at tight end. So, you float Sam LaPorta out there, and I think people will overpay for something like that. Let's wrap up these sell high candidates with the Miami backfield. I wrote down Raheem Mostert, De'Von Achane. I haven't written this part of the article yet, but truly, man, going into last week, the zero RB truthers were talking so much shit because Raheem Mostert was a lock running back one. He was so good, obvious running back one play. And then he was terrible. And Achane was great. And now Achane's an obvious running back one play. And now they add Jeff Wilson. And then you add the fact that their offensive line's getting hurt worse. And their home field competitive advantage of the hot, humid Miami is going down as well. Obviously, Miami's competitive advantage is early season, not late season. So I don't love this. Like, you're never going to feel good starting a Miami running back unless they're hurt again. And it trims the competition because it's going to be a three-headed committee at best for you and make it more. They may add somebody else too. It wouldn't surprise me if they added Leonard Fournette there. So they have 4 players to worry about. Like, I don't want a Miami running back, but if people are valuing Raheem Mostert or De'Von Achane as a running back 1, a mid to high end running back 2, take it. Take whatever trade you can get. Like, I just don't want to play that game. I don't think you're going to predict the right running back correctly more often than you are incorrect. That's the issue. Neither of them are reliable RB2s. So if you can sell them as an RB2, go ahead and do it. And then we'll wrap up with Jerome Ford. Jerome Ford, quite the controversial figure with Fantasy Football by Committee. Quite the controversial figure on this Flurry Sports YouTube channel. Because I said you will regret picking up Jerome Ford. I said he's a bad football player. I said I think the Browns are going to work out Kareem Hunt and sign Kareem Hunt. And the take, which kind of took off on a couple other platforms, which is kind of interesting. I said I would rather spend 2% of my fab on Kareem Hunt. This was before he was a Brown. I said I'd rather spend 2% on Kareem Hunt than 50+% on Jerome Ford. And people called me an idiot. And then Jerome Ford looked bad, but he fell into the end zone a couple times, so his fantasy day was saved. And then last week, he didn't do anything. Jerome Ford's not that good of a football player. Kareem Hunt's role is going to grow. Pierre Strong's role is going to grow. I think Jerome Ford's the 3rd most talented running back in the backfield who's healthy. Obviously, Nick Chubb's better once he's healthy. If you can trade Jerome Ford as anything of a flex or above at this current moment, if you can trade him at flex value, RB3 value, RB2 value, do it. Take it. Get what you can get. He is on bye this week, so it's tough to trade a player who's on bye because the person who trades for him can't use them. But if you can trade to an RB needy team, absolutely do it. If you can get a wide receiver 3 for Jerome Ford, do it. If you can get a low-end tight end 1 for Jerome Ford, do it. He's not going to be reliable. If he doesn't score a touchdown, he's not going to be that reliable. He's not a great runner. He's a terrible pass protector, so he's going to come off the field for that. Yeah, you just do not need Jerome Ford on your fantasy team. Maybe people are realizing I was right. I don't know. You don't need to admit it. I would appreciate less death threats and comments like that for just saying a fantasy take that's correct. But Jerome Ford's not great, and you should sell high while you still can.